I'm Lisa Mason Ziegler coming to you here from my little urban farm in southeastern Virginia, the Gardener's Workshop Farm. And I am just really happy to be here with my friend, Jonathan Lease, who's down in North Carolina with Springforth Flower Farm. And I know that many of you have already if you didn't already know Jonathan, after that video I posted today of him mowing down his portions of his flower beds, you are very curious about that. So I'm really happy to have you here. So Jonathan, how are you doing down there in North Carolina? How's the weather?
I hope it's going to start warming up because we already have anemones blooming in our high tunnel, and all this cold, cloudy weather is killing us, or at least it's slowing them down. A few hot days and a few sunny, warm days, and we'll just really have some nice flowers. So
Yeah, I have 3 beds that we're sitting on 4,000 transplants of cool flowers that should have been planted last week, but because of all the craziness, they aren't. And so I actually yesterday morning, because it was going to be sunny yesterday and today, which is like an unusual occurrence this time of the year, I pulled my silage tarps back to kind of dry out the beds a little bit. And even though it was still just above freezing, I can't believe how dry they got just getting a little bit of sunshine, right? So we have a whole bunch of folks loading up with us over there. So what I invited Jonathan to come on here this evening because I wanted to catch up. They've got a couple of new additions at their house. And first, I want to hear about the little new short person you have, new baby Willa. So how is it having a second child on the homestead?
oh my gosh, it's more than twice the everything than just having one. So it's more than twice the running around and more than twice the joy. So it's great. So not only now we have Willa, who she'll be 6 months old next week.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's unbelievable. But now Julianne is also well into her 2s. So she's seeing the world in a completely new way, which is she's struggling mightily to be the center of everything. And when it doesn't go her way, she doesn't really know what to do about it. So it's pretty interesting. But
that's pretty awesome. And I can't believe I was going to guess that Julianne was 3. So y'all have quite your hands full down there.
We do.
So my hat is off to you
Thank
guys.
It's a great age in that Julianne really wants to help with everything. So we were transplanting stock, and just the hardest thing is for her to not touch little mini blocks. If they're bigger, we let her help transplant, or we let her help seed, and then we have one patch we really have to thin because she put 500 larkspur in 2 rows, 2 feet of the row. But yeah, she really wants to do everything, and she knows all her vegetables and all her flowers.
That's so awesome. So I know that you also have another new addition on your farm. I saw some new tunnels there. Can you just kind of give us the overview of what'd you get and what are you doing with them?
Yeah, so we got the EKIP high tunnel cost share from from USDA. And the cool thing about that is they pay you by the square foot, and they don't care if you build 1 tunnel or 2 tunnels or 3 tunnels. It's just by the square foot. So we were able to use that to get 3 16-foot wide Gothic Pro caterpillar tunnels from Farmer's Friend. And so now we have our 30 by 96 high tunnel, which we love with it. It's completely automated, and it just takes care of itself with the sides that go up and down and the vents. And now we have brand new these 16-foot wide caterpillar tunnels, and they're fantastic. I mean, I have to say, like, we got 50% more space when you put them all together than the big tunnel for 60% of the cost of the big tunnel. So the economics are amazing on these little tunnels. And and they're turning out to be great. They're a lot more work because we have to go and open and close everything. They're so small, they heat up really fast, so it's learning a lot. It's not just like we added another one of what we already have.
Right.
But what are we doing with it? Well, this weekend we're transplanting stock. We have about 3,500 stock that we meant to plant early and meant to transplant early, but we had a baby. So, but I have to say, like, we almost didn't transplant them because it got down to 21 degrees last night. And we did it anyway, because otherwise it wouldn't get done. We put them in the tunnel. We didn't put any row cover on the bed, but we closed the tunnel up and they look beautiful. So
stock is really tough, I have learned. I mean, even out in the field, it has taken into the teens without having any dieback. It's pretty amazing.
So the ones that are in the bed look great. The ones that we hadn't transplanted yet were just in the tunnel in their mini blocks. Their leaves got a little bit of cold damage, but none of them died. They look fantastic. So that's what we're using these tunnels for. We're using them to grow our cool flowers. And then we're using them to expand our vegetable garden for our home use a little bit. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. That's an important part of what we do. So we have a little bit of space set aside for vegetables on the side of the tunnel where we can't grow any of the tall flowers.
So we have a lot of folks joining us here on Facebook. And so for folks that might not have ever met you before, so why don't you tell me a little bit about where you guys are located, how big your farm is, and just kind of what it is that you guys do down there. What's your flower farming business all about?
So we're in Hurdle Mills, North Carolina, which is about 30 minutes, 45 minutes north of Chapel Hill. So if people can picture that, we're zone 7A, hot in the summer, sometimes cold in the winter, I think like everyone else, and muggy. And we have 12 acres, but we're growing flowers on about a half acre. So it's a very small operation, and we specialize in spring flowers. Actually, the only thing we do is spring flowers. So we started selling a very small number of flowers around Valentine's Day. It's really just our white anemones. They're the first ones to bloom. We're about to probably have tulips in 3 weeks, and ranunculus will be pretty soon. And we sell flowers all the way till the end of June, and then we're done selling flowers. As everyone knows, there's work all year round, so we're not done with the farm, but we're done selling flowers. We take a step back. By the end of July, we're already seeding flowers to bloom the next spring. So any of you who grow dianthus or foxglove that need to be vernalized, know you need to start them very early so they'll get big enough before they go into the winter. So
right.
By the end of July, we're starting to seed. By October, it's gangbuster seeding. Our goal is to be done seeding by Thanksgiving so that we can have some holidays, and then we'll pick up again in January with a little bit more. The other thing about our farm is we only sell wholesale to florists. So
right.
We don't do any retail. We have done retail. We've done weddings. We've done CSA type things. We sort of did an emergency reintroduction of the CSA during coronavirus last year. But we're just back to only doing florists. And for any of you who don't sell to florists and are maybe a little scared to approach florists, I really recommend that you think about that.
Yeah.
And if you show up with some beautiful flowers, there's nothing to be scared of. They're going to love you.
It's true. So, I hope everybody caught what Jonathan just shared there, is that they specialize in spring flowers. And so I kind of stirred up a little nest today. I posted the video that I found on your Facebook page, Jonathan, of you mowing down that beautiful yarrow in July, which I'm sure all of your beds were not as gorgeous as that yarrow.
No.
That was a beautiful photo moment to do that. And it said, this is the end. We've mowed all of our flower crops. And so I'm going to let you go on here in just a minute, but what I just wanted to share with people is that what the model that Jonathan and Megan have, they decided what they wanted their business to be based on what their family wanted and needed. And that's what Jonathan and Megan have built their business around. Instead of like most of us that just start our business and get vacuum sucked into it and do what has to be done, they were very deliberate in what they did.
Well,
So, I mean, what you had posted on that video that I posted today was that we just made our last delivery. So do you guys say like a month beforehand, okay, this is the date, we're going to stop deliveries that day, or do you have it even before then, or does it happen the week before?
No, we deliver through the end of June.
So that's it.
That's it. I don't know if July 1st, maybe we would deliver the week of July 1st, just depending on where it fell in the week.
Right.
But, we plan on not having enough crops after that to deliver.
Right.
But we didn't actually build the business that way. We started out getting sucked into it, just like you said, and we weren't happy and it wasn't sustainable. Like we wouldn't have our farm right now if we hadn't pivoted what we were doing. We would have just been burned out and stopped doing it. But a couple things happened. One of them is we just noticed a pattern. Selling to florists, people who sell at market probably experience the same thing. In North Carolina, I know people who do weddings experience the same thing. Sometime in June, our sales went down by about half. In July, they went down by about another half. And just in the summer, there's not enough demand for flowers. And the kinds of flowers that we could grow were very common. I mean, a lot of other farms had them, and they didn't fetch the same profit that the spring flowers had. So we were never able to get a good price for zinnias. I know sometimes people can, but around here, it wasn't possible. And so if we had to decide, well, we would rather have space that we could save out of cool flowers to grow zinnias, or we could plant in cool flowers and we can have campanula. We would much rather have the campanula, and our farm wasn't big enough for us to really do both in the way we wanted. And when the demand went down in the summer, the happiness of the farmers goes down in the summer, at least in the South.
Oh yeah.
And so we didn't want to do that. And it really was about looking for when can we have family time. We started out wanting the farm to support like a small homestead. We wanted to have a small homestead. We were looking for a homestead business, and the farm got much bigger than that. It is much bigger than that. It's not just selling eggs on the side of the road to buy vegetable seeds. But we didn't want to give up our original vision of the small homestead and having time, with our daughters and time for vacations. And so we just had to figure out how to make the flower business fit into that. Yarrow is one of those, sort of special crops that just sort of keeps going further into the summer. But most of our beds don't look like that. And,
right.
Because flowers take so long, it's like, and we're on such a small farm. I mean, we have maybe 30 beds, 32 beds or so that we're growing flowers in. We really were having to choose between, do we want, that next succession of larkspur, or do we want celosia? And we would always rather have the larkspur and then be on vacation in the summer.
Right. Well, so what I want to just interject here, because, this whole model is what really drew me to, after I visited Megan and Jonathan's farm, which was, we call it a micro scale flower farm, right? No-till flower farm. When I went down and visited them, and I heard that they cut it, they draw a line in the sand in the middle of the summer and say, that's the end of the flowers. now we're gonna family focus, which means they grow a lot of vegetables, they put up a lot, they go on vacations, and they just, because I mean, Jonathan, don't you? I mean, there is definitely a way, if you want to find summer market, not necessarily farmers market, but there is a way to sell flowers in the summer. However, it's not as easy as it is for all the rest of the year.
Mm-mm.
And you have to have the space, as you were saying, to grow both of them. And to keep what I'm trying to get at, I guess, is I have so much admiration that you guys made the choice to honor keeping your farm small so you can manage it and have it be sustainable. And you stuck to it, because I'll tell you what, there's another person that is a good friend of mine, Emily of Fugel's Flowers. She grows all year, but she picks a last delivery date in early fall when she says that's when my last bouquets are going to be. And the same as you, I'm realizing now, for those of us that just keep on going until there is nothing left to sell, the planning potential that you guys get to take advantage of. But on top of that, the morale boost of knowing the end of June is just around the corner. And I know, I mean, what is that like?
Oh, it's we start counting down the days for sure, and then we always plan for that time in the summer, and we're never ready for it to start up again with the transplanting in the fall. But I think that that time off is really important. And I know many farmers, including us, can have some time off in the winter, but there are lots of things that you might want to do, that you can't do just when it's cold.
Right.
But I think it was thinking about what we needed for our family, but it was also looking with detailed at the business, and saying, well, for your business, it's going to be different for every business.
Right.
Where's the profit? And what do you enjoy?
Right.
And then just being okay, thinking outside the box and taking some risk, and also not holding on to things, just too sentimental because they're sentimental. And I'll say sunflowers would be like that flower that was hard for us to stop growing. And now that we have the tunnels, we're actually going to try sunflowers again. We love sunflowers, but just because we love them doesn't mean it's the right thing for us to do.
I'm so glad you said that, Jonathan, because I was so I posted that video on Instagram and Facebook, and the comments, you could tell who were the new to the business of flower farming folks, and then the hardcore people. The hardcore people are like, yeah, I know you got to do it, but that doesn't make it any easier. And then there's the other people that were like, oh my gosh, why would they mow those flowers?
The other thing you can't tell from that picture is that the flower heads are probably starting to get small.
They were pretty beautiful. That's why I picked it. But you're right.
I think we had planted too much, and we hadn't harvested all of it because we couldn't sell it all.
Right.
The other thing is not to sink money into that. Well, there's a toddler that wants to join in for a second.
Oh, Julie Ann.
Quiet if I don't let her in.
So we're having a video bomb by Julie Ann, who is their oldest daughter, who is in her twos. And I have spent time with Julie Ann, and she is going to be quite the flower farmer when she grows up.
But if you want to, you can sit in my lap.
There she is. Hi, Julianne.
That's another Lisa. That's also Lisa. That's another farmer Lisa.
So Jonathan, I mean, I think it's just so brilliant that you guys have not only made the choice, you're doing it. So what I was trying to express about the people's outrage, not mean outrage, but just surprise over mowing those flowers. It's like, oh my gosh, you could have sold those flowers. But when you look at the big picture of happy, profitable, and all these things and put them together. Not everybody's capable of doing that. So I just want to say just how brilliant I think you guys are for actually doing that.
Well, thank you.
And to make it fit for your family. And I'm thinking that it's really going to be the end of June and not July 1st, as your second one gets to be this size. Y'all are going to have your hands full there on the farm. Julianne, you're going to be a Facebook hit. She's pretty cute. So Jonathan, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is that we're doing this because Earth Day is coming up, April 22nd. And Jonathan always offers to do this annual Q&A coaching session with his students in his course. His course's name is the Micro Scale Flower Farm. And it's an on-demand course, which means you can purchase it at any time. And Jonathan does actually host a closed Facebook group. What that means is once you become a student, that Facebook group you can get into if you want to get in. And Jonathan pops in and out of there to give you a hand when you need it. And so it's really amazing. But what I wanted to point out is that it's about 4.5 hours, I think. Isn't that how long it is? The course is a bunch of little sessions. Much of it can be applied to vegetables, to growing vegetables, homesteading. Y'all, how he folds up silage tarps is worth watching the course for.
So, yeah, the course is divided up into 3 segments, right? And the first part is about no-till. I may have the first 2 not in the right order. There's a whole section on the no-till methods that we use. And then there's a whole section on how we plan the micro farm and how we manage to fit it, make it fit work for our family, which we think is really important. And some of the things we're talking about could really apply to larger farms too there. It's just the thought process about how we do it. And then the last section is about flowers, but the first 2 parts really would apply to any sort of farm or homestead type of situation.
Okay. And the other thing that I feel like is there's just such a great mix of gardening, farming, business, lifestyle. It's just a nice, really, really mix, because I really feel like that you and Megan have such homesteader hearts. You're trying to create a life, right? And
we are, yeah.
So tell us about, this video that we saw of you mowing. So tell us kind of what happens at the end of the season. What do you guys do? You just mow everything down, or? Huh?
So we go out to dinner at the end of the season. That's the most important part.
That is awesome, to go out to dinner. And people that don't farm for a living just don't get it. Stevie I went back before I was really farming, and my husband owns a business. And he, back in the days when he was still doing so much physical labor, he would come home at night and I'd say, let's go out to dinner. And he'd say, I will eat anything. If you want to feed me a peanut butter sandwich, as long as we can stay home and eat it. I totally get it now as a farmer. You're so tired, you're so exhausted. So eating out is a big celebration to end the season with.
So we mow everything down. At this point, most of our vegetables are going, and hopefully we've got some tomatoes starting to ripen and some peppers starting to ripen. So we mow down the flowers. What we have been doing, and what we'll probably do again this year, is cover the beds with a tarp. Hopefully water them is best if they're wet. Cover them with a tarp, and then or cover crop, and then we'll have that tarp or cover crop in until we take it off to plant. You never stop learning and never stop getting new ideas. So we're actually, I haven't been happy with how much we've been having things in tarp, and tarps are amazing. I encourage people to use them, but we're just always wanting to do a little bit better. So we're trying to figure out if we can plant some flowers to attract beneficial insects just at a low density, and then plant into the roots. If anyone's been reads Growing for Market and looks at Singing Frogs Farm or something in California, there's a lot of different ways that people do no-till, and we're just trying to learn from all of them. So if we develop any new systems, we'll definitely add them to the course, just, as we learn more and more. But I think it's exciting that there's so much opportunity for tweaking, and we'll be adding all of that. But right now what we do is we cover crop in the summer, usually with Sudex or buckwheat. Buckwheat's amazing, everybody, because it's so fast and it breaks down. You cover it with a tarp and then it's like it's gone. It breaks down so quickly. Sudex is great just because it does so much for the soil, building the soil. It has such Sudex is sorghum Sudan grass, if anyone. So we plant the cover crops and then we mow them with our flail mower. And the sorghum Sudan grass, if we put the tarps on it, the roots will vanish, but the top, like 6 months later, the top will still be there.
Yes.
It's so fibrous, makes such a nice mulch. So
I'm glad you said that about your flail mower, because that was one of the questions. I'm sure there's somebody on here that wants to know about that mower you were pushing. Tell us a little bit about your BCS.
Yeah, so we have a BCS walk behind tractor that we got from used, but it came from Earth Tools in Kentucky, and they're a great resource for the tractors. And we have 3 implements for it that we use on our farm. We have a bush hog, because we have 12 acres, so we just have a little bush hog mower we can mow things with. The implement we absolutely use the most is the flail mower. And what a flail mower does is it shreds or chops the thing you're mowing and then mulches it on top of the bed. So it has like blades that go like this, like 5,000 RPM or something, and just completely shred things into little tiny pieces and drop it on top of the bed in wonderful mulch.
I call it confetti. I have a flail mower for my tractor. And I mean, it is a sight to behold what it does.
Not only that, but I used it last year to mow down our willows. So it can do that is much faster than going out and cutting them with pruners So the BCS flail mower can do a lot. It's really amazing. And then we have a power Harrow, which is a soil working implement that stirs the soil like an egg beater without inverting it. And we use that mostly when we're making new beds. So we don't tend to use that on the beds once we've made them. We have used it to get cover crop seeds into the beds. I mean, one of the challenges with no-till, we talk about this in our course, there's I think 2 sessions on it, are cover cropping and how to get cover crops to germinate is one of the big challenges. So we have experimented with that. We use it sometimes for that on a very shallow setting, so we're not doing a lot of soil disturbance, but our preference is to not even do that unless we really need to.
Yeah, we have a small portion of our farm is in no-till, some permanent beds that I started about 3 years ago. And, I wish I had a BCS. If I was younger, I would get a BCS for those. I have all those implements almost. But for a tractor, which obviously doesn't work in a no-till situation. And I want to just also say what you just mentioned about no-till is different for different people. And it is so true. And I think those of us in the South, face special issues because we have such long growing seasons. I personally battle Bermuda grass and nutsedge, both of which are bad. So anyway.
And fire ants. We've just started getting fire ants. And I don't know what to do about them. And I don't know what to do about Bermuda grass, but nutsedge, uh, woven landscape fabric has eliminated our nutsedge problem completely.
Huh. You
So
mean leaving it down for extended period of time, or?
nope, just using it. So nutsedge, for anyone who doesn't have it, be grateful. It grows from a little thing that looks like the inside of a peanut, and the leaves are so sharp they can grow through most agricultural plastic. So if you just put down regular black plastic mulch, it can just pierce right through that and grow, but it can't pierce landscape fabric. And so if you
Oh,
just
I
do
don't
landscape
know.
fabric down,
Yeah.
at least it hasn't pierced our landscape fabric. So it used to be our worst weed, and now our worst weed is annual crabgrass.
Yeah. So I guess what we want to communicate to people is that there's many different no-till methods. And a lot of them you can pick and pull from different ones to actually create what works for you best, which is kind of what I'm in the process of doing. And I know that's what Jonathan and Megan also do. And so I just want to, I want to first, we'll wrap this up. So the bottom line is the reason you guys mow everything in the middle of summer is because your season is over. You move on to putting your attention to growing your vegetables because you guys put up stuff, and family vacation, y'all, I don't know if there's probably, I'm sure we got a crowd over on Facebook. This is what most people dream about doing, living the life that you want to have and be a flower farmer, but still have a family life. And that's what Jonathan and Megan have literally are doing. And I just have, my hat is off to you. I just think it is so brilliant. And I'm just so pleased to offer your course. I just think that this is the micro scale. And so what is a micro scale? Like a half an acre? Would that be a good
Like
meat?
half an acre. Yeah, I think a half acre. I think one thing, small enough that like it probably couldn't support your whole family without off-farm income,
Right.
but big enough that it could be one person's full-time job. That
Right.
kind of thing. But all the way down to, I think, all the way down to someone who has 4 small beds in their yard and is growing flowers, doing a CSA on their block, but thinks of themselves as a farmer, which I think you should if you're doing that.
Yeah.
Anything in that size. Another thing I want to say for anyone who's interested in no-till, there are all of these different methods for doing it, and we present a good way to get started, but no one should be intimidated by that. If you're wondering about getting into no-till, and I bet most of the people here who are listening already have no-till beds around. They're perennial beds. You don't think about that, but you already know a little bit, and you can expand on that to grow annuals in a no-till system too, if that's what you want to do, And so,
Right.
yeah, we have some information about how we do that and how you could do that will really work for most people.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this is just a great time of the year. And we just wanted to give a shout out to everybody that his April 22nd, which is Earth Day, all of his students in his course, past students, new students, all of his students will get the invitation to have be on a Zoom call with Jonathan, maybe Megan. We don't know how that, we'll see how baby business is doing then. And to answer your questions. So get the course, watch it, and start thinking on it so you can kind of figure out what your challenges are, right? And be on there. So I thank you so much for joining me. I know that it's a challenge with little guys running around, or little girls running around the house, although that little Willa's not running yet. So I thank you guys for joining me. You can find all of our courses at thegardenersworkshop.com. Jonathan and Megan's course is an on-demand course, which means it can be bought year-round anytime. He does host a closed Facebook group, and you will get the information on that when you purchase the course, how to join. And we'd love to have you join it. And I'm telling y'all, it is, something I was thinking about today. I posted I have a new podcast, Jonathan. Did you know that?
I saw that. I
Yeah.
downloaded it and I can't wait to listen.
Well, it's like, anyway, I'm really loving it. But I posted a podcast today, kind of a special broadcast, not my normal every Tuesday, about our style of courses and what we're trying to really offer people. And something that occurred to me when I was out uncovering those beds today is how any course, any class, any session you take of anywhere, so often people will look at a title of something and say, oh, I don't need to learn about that, which first off, that's not really a great attitude to have, right? We can always learn more, but it's what you don't know that is the gems in those classes. So often you will take a course or a class or go to a conference and you learn things you just never imagined. And that's what I see happening for people with your course.
Well,
It's like they're discovering that you can have a life, you can have a young family, y'all having these young children and continuing to do this with you having an off-farm job. He's a fireman, y'all. Is just such a great example for everybody that it can be done. You just have to control yourself, mow the flowers, not try to grow too much, and get your emotions off your sleeve and be a business person, right, Jonathan?
yeah, and start by figuring out what your goals are, and then you'll know when something gets out of hand because it won't fit into your goals.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So everybody, we're going to sign off here. I don't see any questions over here. We had a lot of people. Wait, let's see.
I just want to say, everyone, we hope you take the course, and we really get a good discussion going on the Zoom call in April, but also it's really neat with the Facebook group now. I always try to answer your questions, but the best thing is other people who've taken the course and have their own experiences on their farms are starting, to share their experiences too. And I'm learning from that just as much as everyone else. And it's just really great to have everyone, sharing what they're doing and what their experiences have been. And it's really great to have that community.
And the other podcast that anybody that is a great one to listen to is Jenny Love's new podcast, No Till Flowers. Right?
That's fantastic.
I mean, if you want to, let me tell y'all, we need to go down rabbit holes that benefit our business and our gardens and our farms, right? And that's really a great one. So I see we have a lot of people comparing where they're from. We have people in Manhattan listening, and Kansas, and from all over the country. And so we're so glad you joined us here tonight. And I hope you now understand why Jonathan mows all of his flowers in July, so he can take his wife out to dinner and have a family vacation. And so anyway, kudos to you guys, Jonathan. I appreciate it. And anybody that wants to find the course, thegardenersworkshop.com, all of our online courses are there. Jonathan's is there, and he'll be doing his annual coaching Q&A session on April 22nd. And I hope that you join in with them. And, that will be a great time. This is the perfect time to do it, right? So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jonathan. And we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much.